Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Public Healthpreneur Podcast. I am your host, Quisha, member, the Public Healthpreneur. I'm excited to continue our conversations on mental health and entrepreneurship. And today I have a very special guest with me, Miss Princess Jennings. Welcome to the podcast, Princess.
Hello, thanks for having me.
How you doing this morning?
Feeling good, feeling good. How about you?
Looking amazing.
Thank you.
Feeling good, but looking amazing. Let me just say that I was so proud, and as we say back in Arkansas, tickled pink. And I know you're a good Southern girl too. I was tickled pink when you agreed to do this because let me tell y'all what I know about Princess. I met maybe it's been a year maybe since we
Yeah.
first connected. And the first time I met Princess, we were actually working on a webinar for her to do. And she was like, I just don't know. It's public speaking is just not my thing. That's the major thing I need to conquer. And I'm like, girl, you have a story. Your business is super niche. Like everybody needs your services. And I will say, if push yourself out of the comfort zone was a picture, it would have your face to it. Because I will say in the last year, you have pushed yourself out of the comfort zone, and you can probably attest to this, have seen some major growth in your business since you have
Absolutely.
done that. So I just want to just publicly acknowledge that and say kudos. But anyway, that's enough of me rambling on. Let's get into the topic of this conversation. That's mental health and entrepreneurship and how to build a business without breaking down. So Princess, go ahead and tell everybody what type of business do you run and how long you've been in business?
So, as Quisha said, my name is Princess Jennings. I am the founder and owner of Community Tracking Services. I've been in business for 11 years. At my business, we do recruitment, enrollment, and we conduct qualitative research for academic institutions, nonprofits, and public health organizations. With that being said, what we do is locate and track what's known as hard to reach research participants. So we are known as the data bounty hunters, where we go out with our feet in the street to locate these participants and collect data and bring them back to these organizations.
I love it. The data bounty hunters with our feet in the street. That is such a great service, as I've told you time and time again. All right, so let's get into it. You've been in business how
11
many?
years.
11 years.
Yes.
Solopreneur, like entrepreneur, 11 years, right? I think you were the
Yes.
longest of everybody that I'm interviewing. I think maybe Teresa, she stopped, she had a break for about 3 years, so maybe a little bit longer since she had that break. That's a very long time. It ain't easy. I'm going on 5 years, and I quote the stats, 45% of small businesses don't make it to year 5, and you've been in business for 11 years. So let me commend you for that. That is no
Thank you.
easy feat. And might I say, very much under the radar until the last year, right?
Yes, most of my business have came from word of mouth. I just recently started marketing, maybe 2 years ago, consistently. That's the key word, consistently.
Mhm.
So yes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about mental health challenges in building a business, especially marketing in the last couple of years. And I know you've had some challenges. So tell us about the mental health challenges you've experienced during your entrepreneurial journey.
So my biggest mental health challenge is anxiety. It's a beast that sleeps in my closet every single day, and I have to um, support that in many ways. So I literally actively struggle with anxiety every day. But I have a great support system. I have ways to actively support that anxiety that I face with every day.
Wow. You said it's a beast that sleeps in my closet.
Yes.
Wow. All I can think of is like, we used to say this saying like the devil on your back,
Mhm.
or dark cloud over you, or the weight of the world is on your shoulders. That feels so heavy, the way you described it. So tell us how that manifests.
For me, I constantly worry about simple things. I can have a meeting on Friday and it can be Monday. And when I lay down at night, I'm thinking about what am I going to wear to this meeting that's on Friday and it's Monday, and it'll keep me up at night. Or I can overthink about the simple things. It can be times that my girlfriends may want to go out to dinner and I would dread going to dinner because I have to think about, do I want to drive to dinner and worry about parking, or what am I going to wear to dinner? And there has been times that I've literally canceled going because I have to think about, what am I going to wear? Or do I want to drive, or do I want to catch a lift? So just simple things like that. My anxiety will freak me out and make me cancel plans.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait. Because you're a whole CEO.
Yes,
And what I know about being a CEO is we make 101 decisions a day,
yes,
from the smallest of decisions to really large decisions. And you're saying you struggle sometimes with what to wear on a girls' night out for people that you already know. How does this level of anxiety and excessive worry, because that's how yours seems to manifest, is this excessive worry, how has this impacted your business?
it has impacted my business majorly because there has been opportunities that I could do speaking engagements. The reason me and you met for doing webinars, and I have not said yes because I'm worrying about, am I going to speak correctly, or am I good enough to be doing this? But because I have a great support team, and one major thing is I seek therapy, I know I'm capable of doing this. One of my friends told me, you are the secret sauce. You got this opportunity because you are the expert. So that has made things a lot better for me.
Wow. You know, it reminds me, people always, when I say like, oh, I get anxious when I have speaking engagements. And, 3 to 5 years ago, I had severe stage fright, and people find it hard to believe. But one of the things I've always done, just like you say, you're thinking on Friday, what are you going to wear on Monday? I've always done visualization. And so I will visualize me in front of a crowd, on the stage, behind the podium, maybe even a standing ovation at the end, right? Or visualize me walking back and forth and how I'm interacting with the crowd. And I think the same way that we can visualize those negative things, we can also visualize those positive things as well. And then also just doing it, right? Doing it messy and dirty and ugly and imperfect, because really people appreciate that these days. They want that authentic, that genuine person to show up. Southern drawl and everything, because I got one
Exactly.
and you definitely, you definitely have one. Wow. Okay. So has your anxiety affected your life personally, like with relationships, family, friends, etc.?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what I've learned to do is live in my truth.
Mm-hmm.
This is me. This is what you get. Most days I'm not gonna wear makeup. Most days I'm just gonna put on some lip gloss and just show up as me. So that's when I have my best time, is when I just go out in some jeans, some chucks, and a t-shirt, and I have a great time.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I've learned about when having anxiety, is just show up as your authentic self,
Yeah.
and the worrying goes away. It's
Yeah.
when I worry about what's gonna happen, that's when I get stressed out. So when I don't do the worrying about, what if this happened, what if that happened, and just show up, and that's when things tend to fall in place.
Yeah. When did you notice this anxiety happening for you? When did it start?
I can be honest and transparent. I think I've always had anxiety. I just didn't know what it looked like
Mm-hmm.
from when I was a child. Um, Back then people would just say, just pray about it, just pray about it. So growing up, no one was there to tell me, oh, you just maybe you have anxiety, or they was probably facing anxiety themselves, so they couldn't help me with that. But I really knew I had a problem back in 2014. My dogs bring me peace. And one day, the sound of my dog's nails hitting the hardwood floor caused me to break down.
Oh, wow.
Like literally, them walking in the house and their toenails hitting the hardwood floor just caused me to break down. And I knew then I needed help, because my dogs bring me peace. And just them walking in the house and their toenails hitting the floor caused me to have just a breakdown. And that was the first time that I sought therapy, was
Mm.
then when my peace was just too much for me to deal with.
Was it a
So
result of like burnout, or was like a lot going on in your life at that
it
time?
was just a lot going on in my life, and that was just like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Wow. Something so insignificant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And that was the turning point to say, oh, my dogs don't even cause me stress. And if they're causing me stress, which I think it was very, very insightful and proactive on your
Mhm.
part to notice that, like, the things that bring me joy are no longer bringing me joy. If you're listening, listen to what I'm saying, people. When the things that bring you joy are no longer bringing you joy or causing you discomfort or stress or something, this could be a sign like, okay, let me check in with myself. I'm not in tune with, like, something else is going on. So I'm glad that you were able to do that and then get the help. So let's talk about this. 2014 is
10
2024.
years. Yeah.
Have you been in therapy on and off or continuously for those 10 years?
I've been in therapy on and off since 2014. And that's what I want the people to know is like, don't be afraid of therapy. Just like you would go to the doctor for a cold or go to the doctor because you was having chest pains, your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Um, Stigma keep a lot of people from doing that, but I am not ashamed to say, hey, I go to therapy. Like my therapist saved my life in a sense, like saved my mentalness. There was days that I literally didn't want to go anywhere because I just couldn't face the world, but I still had a business to run. Like I would get up every day, go to meetings I had to do, go to my team meetings, go be the feet in the street because that's what I felt like I had to do. But it came a point where I just don't want to do that. I want to feel whole. I want to be whole. I want to feel like doing this. I don't want to
fake
do
in
it.
the front.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to fake the phone. I want to actually enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I knew I needed to get back in therapy. There was a lot of things that happened last year that I knew I needed to get back in therapy. So this November will be my therapy versary. I'll be back in therapy for a whole year this November coming up. So I'm excited about that. And things have been really great. Things has been falling in place. My team is amazing. Business is growing. My friendships look better.
And
And
your health, can I just
my
say
health is better. Yes.
like,
yes.
in the last year, and I've only been doing my health journey for for 4 months, but you've been doing it for about a year. I want to say you've lost weight, you look amazing. It's like there is a mind-body connection. When you start working on what you put in your body, when you start working on your mental health, it's like it translates into how you run your business.
It does.
And I can see that, and I'm on the outside in, and now that I'm experiencing that myself, and it's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to watch as well as experience it. So you talked about your therapy versary. I love that. Aside from therapy, what other things do? You talked about having a good support system. So tell us about these supports and mechanisms that you have in place to help you manage your anxiety.
So I enjoy journaling. And the reason I enjoy journaling is because it doesn't have to make sense. I just have to get it out my head. So no, I'm not writing complete sentences. No, the grammar is not correct. I'm just writing. I just need to get it out my head. And that's the best part about it because it's my thoughts. Nobody are going to read those thoughts. I don't have to present it to the world. I can just be me because there's times in my journal I just said, and I'll just be transparent. Today was a fucked up day.
Yeah.
And that's all it said. It's just simple as that. That's all I had to give for my journal that day. That's all I needed to say. But those was my thoughts. And I didn't owe anybody else anything else.
Yeah.
So that's what I enjoy. Yes, that's what I enjoy about journaling. Like it's for me. There's been journals that I burned. Like I no longer needed it anymore. And there are journals that I keep to remind me that that's my past. You don't want to go back there. So journaling for me served many different purposes.
I like that. I think, when I talked to Elisa, she said the same. I know I did that for my loss and grief and writing letters, to the unborn child and writing letters for closure, right? Sometimes you don't even mail it off, or sometimes you write it, like you said, and burn it. but it's something about just writing it and releasing it so that you're no longer embodying it and carrying it within your body, which causes a lot of, let's talk about this. For me, I notice mental health causes a lot of physical issues
Oh yeah.
and physical pain. Talk about that. How has your anxiety manifested physically for you?
Well, yes, I used to have really bad, my legs would hurt really bad sometimes, or headaches.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah. And so you've noticed that those have reduced since
Yes.
you've been able to, yeah, okay. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had to take medication for your anxiety?
Yes. Yes.
And what
Yes.
do you feel like it helps? Does it
Absolutely.
benefit you? Okay. So that's something that you recommend to people in addition to the therapy and the journaling as
If you
well.
need it, some people don't, some people do. For me, it helps.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
some people don't like to talk about having to take medication, because again, that's that stigma there. But we're trying to get rid of stigma,
yeah,
because stigma help hinder people from getting the help they need.
yeah,
So that's one thing I wanted people to get from this interview, is that don't let stigma be the reason that you're not getting the help that you need.
yeah.
So I wanted to share that with people. I could have kept that to myself, that I take medication to help with my anxiety, but this medication is helping you too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be transparent about that. So if you need to take medication to help you get through whatever mental health challenges you're facing, please do that. Please do
Love
so.
that. I love that.
Yeah,
I will also say it doesn't necessarily have to be an antipsychotic.
right,
I know
exactly.
I had anxiety. I have really bad math anxiety.
Yep,
And I had math anxiety in nursing school and I almost didn't make it. So, I couldn't pass one of the pharmacology tests, just nothing but nerves. And I had a nursing instructor that said, I want you to go get on some meds. She said, because this stuff is just anxiety, it's test anxiety, it's math anxiety. And the nurse practitioner I was seeing at the time, she said, Quisha, you have performance anxiety is what you have. She said, I'm gonna put you on a beta blocker. She said, they give this to race car drivers and public
right,
speakers and politicians and all of that. And I'm like, really? And she put me on a beta blocker and I took it when I had tests and I took it whenever I had to do speaking engagements or do a presentation in school, and it worked
right.
perfectly. And it wasn't a traditional anti-anxiety or, antidepressant medication. So there are other options that you can take. And again, I didn't need it forever. I don't need it now. I have
Right.
coping mechanisms. I do an exercise. I do deep breathing. I do my visualization that helps more than anything. So it's just realizing that sometimes we just need a little extra help, a little extra edge, and it's not always going to be all the time. I think the thing that I love the most is, you talk about the stigma, but because I, work and coach with people, I realize people can get so stuck and stagnant because they have anxiety. They're
Mhm.
scared to even start. They're scared to mess up. They have this fear of failure. And I love the fact that you have been able to build a business now for 11 years, going through the same thing that so many other people are going through. You just push through it and you found these strategies and support systems that have helped you to overcome those challenges. I think that's huge in itself. So I know before the podcast started, we were talking about the importance of rest. So tell me about, rest and how it plays a part in your mental health.
Rest is very important, and it's something that I sometimes struggle with. Well, I'm not even going to say sometimes, I struggle with a lot.
Mhm.
Um, but it's very important. I say no to a lot of outings sometimes because I just need to lay in the bed and rub my feet together.
Mhm.
That's literally my favorite thing to do, is lay in the bed, rub my feet together, and get in a burrito. Uh, but when you have anxiety, rest can be hard to find
Mm.
because my mind is constantly going. Like I say, I lay in the bed on Friday and think about what I need to wear on Monday. It's like turning your brain off.
Mhm.
But that's why journaling is so important. So I journal at night before I lay down. So anything that I'm thinking about, put it on paper. That way it's not living in my head. And so when I lay down and get ready to go to bed, it's already out on paper.
Mhm.
So some people can function out 3, 4 hours of sleep. I cannot. I need to sleep.
I'm with you.
So what I have started doing is my phone go on do not disturb from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Mhm.
You can't get through. And as a business owner, when I first started work on my company, if an email went off, I felt like I had to respond to it
Right then. Oh my God.
right
Yes.
then, right
Yes.
then. Like people, some of my clients had got so used to hearing from me within 15, 30 minutes, Quisha. If they didn't hear from
Regardless of
me,
the time.
right, if they didn't hear
Yeah.
from me, they started calling me,
Mhm.
but it was exhausting.
Yeah.
So I no longer do that.
Yeah.
I try to operate within the normal business hours of returning emails or telephone
Because
calls.
what we do is not emergent. It's
No,
not even urgent,
no,
And I think that comes from a scarcity mindset. And if you're watching and you're new in business, you're gonna go through it. I mean, I think
yeah,
it's just one of those things you got to get through because you're so scared to upset a client or that you might miss out on this potential project or something like that. But nothing is urgent. You can answer it the next day. Your business is gonna be just fine. But we've all been there.
yeah. So now I have a 48-hour policy. I'm
Mhm.
gonna get back to any emails within 48 hours. It's usually way before that,
Right.
but I allow myself the grace
Hmm.
to get back within 48 hours
Yeah.
of emails when they come to me. And I think that's very fair to myself and my clients to get back within 48 hours of when an email was sent to me.
You said
So,
boundaries. You said boundaries.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't have those when I first started my business because I was new. I wanted to be the best that I could be. But what I failed to realize is you can't pour from an empty cup.
I know.
And being self care is not selfish. I tell
Mhm,
people that all the time. You have to take care of you first
mhm.
before I can take care of any of my research participants, any of my clients, my family, anybody. I'm going to take care of me first. Like I tell my friends who are parents there, I know your kids are your everything, but you need to take care of mommy first so you can take care of your kids. And a lot of
Right.
people be like, oh, you don't have kids, you don't understand. But I do understand that you're tired and you're exhausted
Mhm.
and they need you to be the best you so you can take care of them.
Yeah.
So taking care of yourself is not selfish and rest is very important in this thing called entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So that's
And
one
life
thing I do
period.
want
Yeah.
people to get out of this podcast is rest is very important to your mental health.
Yes. Because we talk about the importance with chronic disease, hypertension, diabetes, that's usually people will eat right and diet and exercise, but then they stay up all night and they're getting 4 hours of sleep and not realizing that lack of sleep raises your blood sugar. Lack of sleep
Right,
raises your blood pressure. So it has really this systemic response or
right.
impact rather on your body. So quickly, what is your sleep routine look like? Because you did mention to me that you didn't have a television in your room. So tell us, like leading up to bedtime, what does your sleep routine look like in those last 3 hours?
So in the last 3 hours, first thing that I'm doing, I'm gonna feed my dogs. I feed them every day at like 6 o'clock. So I'm gonna feed them and let them go out and play. And then my friends call me granny. Because by 7 o'clock, I'm going and get in bed. If it's nothing that I have planned, I'm going to lay on down between 7 and 8. Then I may text some of my friends and joke around. And then I'll be honest, I'm going down the TikTok rabbit hole. And so I'll go on TikTok and cry over strangers, or either I get on TikTok shop and put some stuff in my cart. And then I'll wind down for the night because I don't have a TV in my room and I've never had, TVs in my room. And I've gotten back to reading.
Good, good, good.
And I had stopped reading, Quisha. And when I tell you why I stopped reading, I'll just be honest, because everything I was reading was business related. Because I
Mhm,
was so focused on the business or personal development and I got burned out.
mhm.
So in therapy, we talked about that. She said, you need to start back reading for fun,
For fun, yeah.
reading just stuff that you enjoy. And
Mhm,
so now I read books that I enjoy, just fiction books,
mhm.
things that I enjoy just to laugh. And I'll read at night before I go to bed. And it's been great. So that's what my routine looked like. I'll either read or I'll go down the TikTok rabbit hole.
I love that. But I will recommend this because probably for the last 2 or 3 years, my do not disturb is set at 9. And the
Yeah.
only people that can get through, I think, are on your favorites. If you have an
Yes.
iPhone anyway. So if
Yes.
it's mom, dad, sister, husband,
Hmm.
they can get through. Everybody else, if they
Yeah.
text or if they call, they're gonna get the automated message. And mine is on there until 6 in the morning from 9 to 6. And that's like been one of the best things that I could have done.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
It really is. That do not disturb is a game changer. Somebody said, well, what if it's an emergency? I said, my sister is like my best friend. If my sister tell me it's right, everybody else can go, you know where.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, if it's an emergency, they'll call my sister and then my sister get to
We'll
me.
get in touch with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, good information on rest. So, what's been your biggest lesson from your mental health journey as an entrepreneur?
That it's okay to ask for help.
Mm,
And you're gonna need a support system,
mhm.
whatever that support system may be, whether it's your significant other, whether it's your family, whether it's a therapist. Everybody needs somebody. I hate when people say, "Oh, I don't need nobody. I'm all I got." I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Help looks different from everybody. Um, but I really believe, especially when it comes to business,
Mm.
one of the best thing I did was hire an administrative assistant
Oh,
because
yeah.
you don't realize how much you do as a business owner until you have the help.
Oh, I'm
Because
so glad you said that.
paper pushing and being behind the scene takes up a lot of your time when you should be out trying to bring in contracts. I think
That's
somebody
it.
said worrying about your next yes as a business owner, that's anxiety right there.
Yep.
And one thing I want to tell people is there's good anxiety. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't talk about that. Anxiety is just not always a bad thing. There's good anxiety too, like people getting married or having a baby. All those aren't bad things. That's everybody has experienced anxiety in their life. It's just how you manage it. And
Yeah.
for me, I just needed help with managing it. One
Yeah.
of my favorite things to do is blow bubbles. I
Mm.
literally get a jar of bubbles and I blow bubbles. And you mentioned breathing exercises. So in order to blow a great bubble, you have to inhale and you have to
Oh,
exhale.
I love that, Princess.
So get some bubbles at home and blow bubbles.
I love that idea. Because some people resort to smoking, right?
Yes.
Some people will resort to eating. Been there with the emotional eating.
Mhm.
But yes, I learned how to meditate. I actually still do it once a month in a group. And you're right, blowing bubbles is the act of just
Yep.
taking deep breaths.
And I got that from a professor because she knew her kids got test anxiety. And
Mhm.
so she was my psychology professor in school. I won't ever forget her. And she would put stickers on top of a little small thing of bubbles. So every time we had tests, she would pass out bubbles. And anybody who would get anxious, she would just say, blow bubbles, and you'll be just fine on your test. So you would see people looking around like, oh, I hope somebody start blowing their bubbles first. And then finally, when one person
Everybody
would
blowing
pick up
bubbles.
and start blowing bubbles in the class, it was just like we would just felt free
Just
to
like,
just blow
yeah.
yep, to just blow bubbles. So
Yeah, and then
anytime
to
you're
see
feeling,
those bubbles all over the
yep,
room just makes me feel light and happy and joyful and almost childlike again.
yep. So after a long day, if I've had a long day and just need to wind down, it's another way to get the energy out my dog. So I'll just go in the
Yes.
backyard and blow bubbles and they like to try to catch the bubbles. And it's a way for me to wind down as well. So
Okay.
when things
I'm
get
getting
stressful
I'm
in
getting
life,
bubbles.
blow
My
bubbles.
dog is gonna enjoy bubbles. I
Yep.
love, love, love that idea. Are there any specific moments in your journey, in this 11-year journey as a business owner, that stand out as turning points to you?
When I hired my first employee, because I knew then it was like, Mom, I made it, like I was growing. So it was also scary for me too, because I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm trusting somebody else with my baby.
Oh my God. Did you end up in therapy behind that? Because I did.
No, I was
So,
already in therapy.
okay. Oh my God. That's first of all, that is such a big accomplishment. I did that. She was with me 18 months. So I did that a year and a half ago.
Mm.
And I could not sleep. I lost so much sleep. I was so worried. Because it is like your baby.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God, not only is it a big monetary investment as well, because you don't even think about the employment taxes that come with bringing on an employee.
Mhm.
But I feel you. No, so I had to go to therapy and talk it out and pray about it too. I
Yep.
prayed about the decision and that was the right person. Wow. So, okay. So that's one. Any other points that stand out to you?
Um, that was my biggest one. And when I had to pivot, when things don't work out like you expect for them to work out in your business, that's very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that around COVID?
No, actually, during COVID, I was blessed that a lot of things didn't fall off like many business did. So I'm very grateful
Good,
and thankful that I was still able to manage my business during COVID. Um, so that's a big blessing.
good, great. Man, this has been so good. I want to ask you a couple more questions before we end here. First, what are a couple of takeaways that you want the audience to remember from this episode?
That you can be a successful business owner and go through mental health struggles. But you need to also be honest with yourself to realize that you need help. And
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to not be okay.
Yes. Yes. I always say that it's okay to not be okay. Yeah.
But the first thing you need to do is realize what's bothering you
Mm-hmm.
and know that there's somebody there to help you.
Mm-hmm. Or find somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. Or find somebody. So I'm sorry, I want to wrap that up and make sure I got it right. Acknowledge, first
Yes.
of all, and then reach out and find someone to help you. And you can build a successful business. Honestly, I think every celebrity, every star, I mean, it's very hard to find someone these days who hasn't been affected by mental health in some capacity. And when you think about, I know one of the things that helped me get over my stage fright was I was watching a documentary. It was Adele, and she had talked about her stage fright and the things she has to do before she goes out. So then I Googled celebrities with stage fright and was surprised. The celebrities that were on that list, Rihanna was one of them. She has to take, at the time, I don't know now, she's a mom now. At the time, she said she had to take shots before she went on the stage. And there were other people, and I'm like, okay, so God, this is probably something you're never going to take away from me. It's something I'm going to just have to learn to deal with and push through. And that made it okay. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that we're having these conversations around it to let people know, like you said, it's okay not to be okay. We can still push through. We can still have successful business, successful lives, and all of that. So at this time, I'd like to for you to tell people about where they can find you and follow you, both you and your business, if they want to stay connected with you.
You can check out our website at www.communitytrackingservices.com. And we're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Community Tracking Services.
Excellent. And if they want to follow you,
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn under Princess Jennings.
Princess Jen is wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This has been so insightful. And again, congratulations on all the business success. I know the listeners got something out of today's conversation, and I just couldn't be more thankful. So thank you for joining me for today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this conversation.
All right. See you soon. Take care.
Bye.